Welcome back, and joining me with more insight on the day's trade is Graeme Franck from PSG Wealth Sandton, Grayston. Thank you so much for your time, Graeme. It's been a very interesting week because we've had the markets moving higher and higher, and that is both from a global perspective and also domestically, even with the US government shutdown entering its third day today. Of course, we were supposed to get those non-farm payrolls, which is not happening. So what are the markets holding on to in the optimism that we've seen this week?
Yeah, thanks, Zanotti. I think almost embarrassingly or sadly so, the market is shrugging off the impact that the workforce, the bureaucratic workforce achieves in the US. To be perfectly honest, there's kind of business as usual, despite the fact that they're shut down. Now, obviously, if they're shut down for a prolonged period of time, we're going to have problems. But I think the market is basically saying we'll have some resolution in the short term, and there's not going to be any balls that are going to be dropped during that time. So, as you say, offshore markets have been rallying hard the last few days, in particular the tech sector, which continues to be very, very buoyant. And South African markets are also hitting new time highs, I think up another 1% today as I sit here. So, yeah, shrugging off the shutdown. And by the way, the same thing on currencies. We haven't really seen the dollar much on the back of the shutdown either. Gold is the one thing that spiked a little bit.
Yes, because I was going to ask with the rand, I mean, it is just above 17 Rand 20 against the US dollar. What is the currency market locally counting on?
Yeah, just pretty nonchalant, to be perfectly honest with you. I think if you look at the recent rise in the South African equity market, it's really been a surge from the resource counters. And remember, South Africa is still seen as a resource sort of currency, especially by the rest of the world. So it's always one of those things that when resources are strong, both the equities and the resource prices, the rand tends to be strong. So I was looking earlier in April this year, the rand was at 1970 odd, 1960, 1970, and it's trading, as you say, back to 1720. So it's 12-13% stronger just in 6 months.
That is actually incredible. Almost 20 Rand, now just above 17 Rand. Yeah, what a rally. I mean, just talking about rallies, you mentioned the AI stocks as well. We've also been seeing them running. Lots of moving parts in that space, and particularly this week, we had that employee share sale from OpenAI, and then we also had NVIDIA hitting a market cap of $4.5 trillion. Are all of those supportive of a continued rally there?
Yeah, I mean, that is 100% correct. The tech sector has been buoyant across the board, whether it's NVIDIA, whether it's Alphabet, Amazon. I mean, even a Dutch player like ASML, who in turn supply the chip makers to NVIDIA to make the chips. I mean, they've been up 7, 8, 9% this week alone. So you're 100% correct. Strong rally across the board on the tech sector. And whilst we think that valuations are looking a little bit lofty in that space at the moment, the earnings tailwinds are still very, very strong. So they're growing into their PEs, so to speak.
Something else that I thought was interesting were the rallies of Netcare and the JSE telcos. Just starting off with Netcare, I mean, it's really been on a tear, rocketed about 9% yesterday alone. It is down slightly today, maybe because of profit taking. Why so much in the private hospital operator? Because there were no news.
Yeah, you're right. I'm scratching my head on that one as well. We don't own any Netcare in the portfolios. We have indirect shareholding in Mediclinic via Remgro, but no obvious news out of Netcare at the moment. So, I mean, the one thing, but this is a bit old news now, is coming out of COVID, obviously, their higher margin businesses really that were very suppressed in the COVID area came through very, very strongly. But as I say, that's old news. That wouldn't have been the most recent run in the share price.
Okay, maybe investors are hoping for more juice there. Also, another sector that has produced more juice this week is the telco sector. Very, very interesting moves there. Blue Label rising 3% today. Yesterday, it surged 9%. Telkom today is up 3%. It popped 7% yesterday after climbing 7% on Wednesday. MTN also up over 2% today. It jumped 6% yesterday and rose 6% on Wednesday. Also, no news that I saw there. I'm just wondering, could this just be more confirmation of a telco's bull market?
So the news I did see on the telcos was just a continued rollout of the 5G network within South Africa. So, whether that was enough to cause such big rises. In the case of MTN as well, Nigeria came out with very positive GDP numbers, so quite easy to explain the MTN rise, given they've got a big exposure to Nigeria. But to answer your original question, I can only think that it's the continued rollout of 5G, and obviously data is what's driving the telco revenues and hence their share prices, not traditional call volumes that it was in the past.
All right. Well, Graeme, let's get to your stock pick for today. Where are you seeing value?
So yeah, indirectly coming back to the hospitals, we're going to go for Remgro.
Okay.
Some of the large sort of underperforming businesses being Mediclinic jumped 58%. By the way, they reported results about 10 days ago. So Mediclinic jumped about 58% in earnings. The loss from their Heineken problem child was reduced by about just under 500 million rand. So I think there's a case to be made that the underlying value of the unlisted businesses should continue to increase. And you've got the fact that they're trading at a 40% discount to net asset value. So quite a nice sort of self-help possible management story there. And if I look at my parent company, PSG Group did all they could to unwind the NAV discount. Naspers is doing all they can to unwind the NAV discount between them and Process. So yeah, I think there's quite a nice story in Remgro, and it's a very, very diversified pick.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your insights on what has moved investors' money this week, Graeme. That was Graeme Franck from PSG Wealth Sandton, Grayston.